On to our topic is trading the bear. Our speaker has a background in BS Management of Financial Institutions and AB Psychology. He holds an MBA from LaSalle Green Hills, a stockbroker at AP Securities, and the founder of Chupitero.com. Let us all welcome Mr. Miko Sayo.
Okay. Good morning, Chupiteros. First of all, I'd like to thank the Society of Technical Analysts of the Philippines for inviting me to do a talk this morning. It's been a while since I did a seminar or a talk. It's actually been years, since I did one, as I've concentrated more on the fund management side. Okay, so a couple of weeks ago when si Rachel asked me what topic I was gonna discuss, so I thought to myself, what better topic to discuss than how to trade this very difficult market that we're in right now. Okay, so today I'm gonna share with you how I make money in this market. I'm gonna give you all my ideas and all my thought process on how to make money in this environment. No holds barred. Okay. Okay, so modesty aside, the fund that I'm trading with right now is up 13% year to date versus the markets. I think the markets, this was the data last week, last weekend. So the data here in this presentation was, data from last weekend. So, but I think the market now is down 4% year to date. So we're still up, but the fund that I'm managing is still up 13%. And it's a medium-sized fund of about 150 million, more or less, pesos. Okay, so the fund is merely trading local equities. We don't trade we don't trade US stocks or international equities, and we don't do any fixed income investments. Okay, so it's purely local stocks. Okay. How was I able to do 13% this year versus the market's 4%? So I'm gonna show you all the strategies and ideas that I do, all my my thinking process of how I'm able to accomplish this. All right, so first of all, let's go with stock selection. So since I'm an active trader and I'm managing an active fund, versus a passive fund, a passive fund is, you just buy all the top 10 big caps in the market and hope that, the index goes to 8,000 or 9,000, 'di ba? Parang that's more of a passive investing, 'di ba? Ako, I don't trade that way. I want to beat in the market regardless of if the market moves or not, 'di ba? I want to have as much gains as possible. So if you have that mentality, if you have that way of thinking, then stock selection becomes very imperative. Here are my guiding themes for stock selection in this market. So first of all, just like what everybody else is saying, dividend yields is very important. So I'll discuss this one by one later on. And then you trade the index changes. Okay? Index, the PSEI index, the FTSE, the MSCI. Okay, so there are quarterly changes for the FTSE and the MSCI. There are semi-annual changes in the PSEI index. So again, I'll explain more on in detail later on. You trade the bluest of the blues, and there's just a couple of them. There's SM, there's ICT, there's just like four of them. Why do you want to trade these issues? Because these are what the big funds trade. Okay, I'll explain it again in more detail later. You buy the big turnaround stories. And finally, you respect technical analysis and trends. Our first topic would be the first theme for stock selections would be dividend yields. So I guess you've heard it with a lot of analysts and traders. these last few months, and every time there's an interview on TV or when everybody says buy stocks that have high dividend yields, and I still I still practice that. I still look for stocks with high dividend yields, despite, if you'll notice, a lot of issues, a lot of these high dividend paying stocks have already gone up quite a lot. If you look at Semirara, LTG, diba? They all have gone up quite a lot already because yun nga, everybody's going for these issues, diba? Everybody's looking for yield nowadays. Generally, you want to look for yields of 7% or more. For the big caps, you want to go for yields of 6% or more. Only go for companies with strong or flat earnings. Okay? There's a couple of stocks there that give big dividends, but their earnings are declining. I try to stay away from them because ang mangyayari, the yields won't be sustainable if the earnings are going down. The earnings has to be at least flat, 'di ba? Like I think LTG's earnings are flat. They're not growing, but they've been very consistent yung earnings nila. Hindi naman bumababa. So that's why they're able to sustain the dividend yields. On strong, there are a couple of strong REITs. Of course, if medyo tamad ka to do active investing, if you don't want the risk, you can just go for the REITs. Okay? Here I'm comparing the REITs with their EPS growths. Again, I don't want to buy stocks wherein the earnings are falling. I will avoid VREIT, I will avoid DDMPR, I will avoid PhilREIT, but I could buy MREIT, RCR, PREIT, AREIT, and CREIT. Okay? Of course, it's more attractive if you're going to buy something that has a high EPS growth like RCR, di ba? Kasi syempre, if the earnings are increasing, then there's a possibility that the dividends will increase over time. Okay, so my priorities here are AREIT because the earnings are growing by 8%, and of course RCR because the earnings are growing by 32%. Here are the best dividend paying stocks in the market. Tinanggal ko na dito yung mga stocks that give a one-time, big-time dividend pace, diba? So the number one here are OGP, SCC, MRSGI, LTG, and so on and so forth. In this column here, we have the projected EPS for 2024. And then here, in this last column, we have the EPS growth. Okay, and then I divided the EPS for 2024 with the dividend per share. How do we interpret this table? First of all, again, you don't want to buy stocks wherein you don't want to buy dividend-paying stocks wherein the EPS growth is going down. So despite the very high yields of OGP and SCC, I'm kind of staying away from them because nga their earnings are falling. Okay? So same with VREIT, same with MRSGI, same with GMA7. I try to stay away from them. In terms of EPS growth, I prioritize on something like I would look for SGI, okay? I would look for CPG, Keeper, FJP, if that's even buyable because of how illiquid it is, and PLDT. Of course, you don't want to buy a dividend-paying stock wherein the EPS is smaller than the dividends per share. So in this column here, I divided the EPS with the dividends per share. So if it's below 1, it means that the earnings are small. The earnings per share is smaller than the dividends per share. If it's greater than 1, then the earnings are greater than the dividends. You want to know if the company is capable of paying that dividend. And the only way, the reliable way of knowing that is if the earnings per share are bigger than the dividends per share, di ba? Among these stocks, you have SGI again. There is Upson, there is Costco, CDC, Shang, FJP again, CPG, Keeper. Keeper is 1.13. So yeah, pwede rin. If you combine these two columns, for me, the best dividend paying stocks here in this list would be SGI, FJP, again, if you can buy it, CPG, and maybe Keeper. So number 2 in my themes for stock selection, trade the index changes. You have to anticipate what's going to happen in the PSEI index. How do you do that? By tracking everyone's free float market cap. I'll show you that table later. Of course, if there is a downgrade or an upgrade in the MSCI and the FTSE, you want to trade those. So generally, you want to sell those stocks that have an upgrade, and you want to buy those stocks that have a downgrade. Here, again, this is as of last weekend. So the numbers here aren't really updated. But as of last weekend, these are the numbers. And I track the free float market cap of all the issues in the markets in order for me to get a gauge on what stocks in the index would be parang possibly be included in the next rebalancing, in which stocks could be removed. So by tracking this list, as of last weekend, Bloom is the most likely stock to get removed on the next rebalancing on July. And the second one could be, so kung dalawa yung tatanggalin on July, it's gonna be Bloom and most likely AGI. And then the ones that could get included will be Plus and RCR. So again, you want to track these changes every day. So syempre, this could change, ha? I mean, I'm not saying sigurado na to, by July. Again, they have to see, this has to be, the free float market cap of these stocks has to be consistent until June. Okay? So that for Plus and RCR to be more likely to be included, and for Bloom and Aggie to be more likely to be removed. Again, it's a weighted average for the past 6 months. And then, of course, in trading these indices, the MSCI, the FTSE, the PSEI, even the Wisdom Tree Index, if there is an upgrade or an inclusion, for example, AREIT was recently added to the PSEI index. So what happened? I'm not sure if you can see my cursor here, diba? This is the time when AREIT was added. So when on the last day of the rebalancing, if you sold on that day, then at least you would have been spared this drop of AREIT from 42 to 39. And for JG Summit naman, it was removed from the PSEI index recently. If you bought on the last day of the rebalancing, you would have made some money here in JGS, di ba? A few days after that rebalancing day, JGS went up. Okay, so what's the rationale there? The rationale there is that if JGS gets removed from the PSEI index, come the Monday after the removal, wala nang magbebenta, 'di ba? That's why it goes up. Kasi lahat ng gustong magbenta, nagbenta na on that last day of rebalancing. It's the same way for AREIT when it got added. After the last day of rebalancing, there was just no one else left to buy AREIT after the last day of rebalancing. That's why it went down after. The third principle that is guiding me in stock selection is I trade the bluest of the blues. Why do I do that? Okay, first, the bluest of the blues are SM, BDO, and ICT. They are the biggest market caps in the PSEI index. Of course, tanggalin na natin yung Heaven, Tanggalin na natin yung Sun Life and Manulife. Why do I do this? Because if you want to manipulate the index and you want the index to go higher, all you have to do is buy SM, BDO, and ICT. And that's what the big funds do. They try to manipulate the index by buying these three issues. It's sort of like the the Magnificent Seven of the US. If you look at their indices, parang ang laki-laki nung inakyat nung S&P and the Nasdaq, but actually it's just the Magnificent Seven that's driving those indices up. So it's the same way with our market. Di ba? Parang, these three issues are the big issues that are moving this market. These are the weights of SM, BDO, and ICT as of last weekend. So 9.86 for SM, 8.06 for BDO, 8.28 for ICT, and then fourth and fifth in line were BPI and SM Prime. Number 4, you want to buy the big turnaround stories. A couple of years ago, there was Plus, di ba? Plus went from $2 to $40 in 2 years' time. And it's still going, di ba? We don't know if $40 is gonna be the high, but that was the big turnaround story the last couple of years. And what's the next big one right now? The next big one right now is Felix. And it's because of that Silangan project, okay, that is gonna come online next year. Okay, so Felix is already going up right now because the market is anticipating that start of production by the first quarter of 2026. And you might ask, uh, how big is the Silangan project, and how big is the turnaround gonna be in Felix? Okay, is it really gonna be as big a turnaround as Plus? But again, first of all, no, again, in stock selections, of course, you want to be aware of these stories in the market. You have to be aware if there's like a big turnaround story that's happening, and you want to get in that stock big if you see those big turnaround stories, because these bagger stocks will be the ones that will really push your portfolio higher despite the market not moving. So again, balik tayo sa Felix. Let's talk about the Silangan project. And I took this phrase from the website of Felix, and it says that the first phase of the project has a mineable ore reserve of 81 million metric tons, which will be mined for 28 years at a rate of 3 million metric tons per year. So I know, parang it sounds, so ano yun, di ba? How big is that? That's equivalent to a total revenues of $18 billion at current prices of gold and copper that will be mined in the next 28 years. So can you just imagine that? $18 billion. That's like 1 trillion pesos. It's not just going to be for next year. This is going to be Felix for the next 28 years. And I did some projections. I did some inferences. I know this is very rough estimates just for please don't quote me on this because I'm sure it's very far from accurate. But I wanted to get a sense of how big the earnings of Felix is gonna be. And given I took this total production again from the website of Felix, and then I inferred how much copper they're gonna produce and how much gold they're gonna produce and how much revenues they're gonna produce based on 58 to $1, based on a price of 9,000 in copper and 2,250 in gold. Okay, so medyo conservative na yan, di ba? So if these prices get sustained and it's 58 to $1, then just in the first 5 years alone, revenues of Felix will jump to about 16 17 billion pesos per year. And assuming, let's just make it conservative, assuming a 15% margin, okay? So Felix will make 2.5 billion pesos in income starting next year. And this will ramp up. So every few years, the according to Felix, the production will increase. Okay, so on the sixth year, the production will now become 1.3 million. So and on the ninth year, it will become 2.7. So parang it will the production will be at its height on the 12th year. So from the 12th going to the 28th, there will still be production pero parang pababa na ng pababa yung production until the 20th year. But the height of the production will be on the 12th year. Wherein, again, if we, kung tama itong inferences ko and my projections, then they will make about 80 billion pesos in revenues and about 12 billion pesos in income per year starting on the ninth year. Okay, so that's how big the turnaround story. So yes, Felix could potentially become a plus. Okay. So again, my point lang being, you want to be aware of these big turnaround stories because these are what can so when you're choosing stocks, okay? And then my fifth tenet, my fifth guiding principle for selecting stocks is to respect technical analysis and trends. A lot of people always ask me, Nico, okay na bang bilhin yung Ali? Diba? A lot of people are interested in Ali nowadays because it's very low, diba? Parang ang baba-baba na niya, diba? Parang, but I always tell them, sorry but it's not on my radar right now eh. Why? Because I respect technical analysis. I respect trends. I don't buy downtrends. Okay? I don't buy downtrends. I avoid downtrends nowadays. Okay? Sideways, pwede. If the stock is trading sideways and if I believe that there's a compelling reason for it to go higher in the next couple of weeks, in the next couple of months, then I could trade sideways. I was one of the first few funds who were buying Felix below $3. You know, if you'll notice, Ang Ping was one of the big buyers of Felix below 3 pesos. And during that time, Felix was parang sideways to down. So I did that as an exception because nga I knew that Silangan was coming online in the next couple of months. So unless you have that kind of parang foresight or maybe anticipation, then you try to avoid sideways and you try to avoid downtrends. And you just stick with those uptrend stocks. Extreme downtrends you can buy, especially, for example, in the likes of pag tinanggal si JGS or URC because of the MSCI rebalancing or FTSE rebalancing, di ba? So those are the exceptions that I make na I can trade downtrends. Always remember the trend is your friend. High becomes higher, low becomes lower, especially in this market. You know what happens? For example, Bloom gets reports income. Tapos ang sama ng earnings ni Bloom, no? So because of the earnings, because of the disappointing earnings, funds sell. When funds sell, prices go down. When prices go down, the market cap goes down. When the market cap goes down, then your free float market cap goes down. When your free float market cap goes down, there is a likelihood that you'll get removed from the PSEI index, for example. When you get removed from the PSEI index, more selling will occur, prices will go lower, your market cap becomes lower, and baka matanggal ka naman or ma-downgrade ka sa MSCI. Pag tinanggal ka sa MSCI, your prices will go will go lower still, your market cap will go lower still, and pwede ka naman matanggal sa FTSE, di ba? And it goes on and on and on until you get removed from all the indices. And then you'll think maybe o sige, natanggal na sila sa lahat. Baka bottom na. 'Di ba? But of course, if you still are reporting bad income, you're still reporting losses, then your stock can still go down, 'di ba? So it's the same way also for those issues na akyat ng akyat ng akyat, 'di ba? Like China Bank and Plus, 'di ba? Parang it's the same thing but in reverse, 'di ba? You report good earnings, and then you get included in the PSCI index, you get included in the MSCI, and then you get included. That's why high becomes higher and higher, and low becomes lower and lower. Okay, so that's stock selection. So now let's talk about macro fund management. No? So here are my guiding principles when I'm managing my fund. Of course, you always want to cut your losses short and let your profits run. In my fund, we hardly get any EPITs. Okay? You should avoid EPITs. Okay? I'm sure most of you guys have, but you have to try and eliminate all those EPITs as much as you can. Why? Because when you have an EPIT, it means that it's like you're buying and holding but in reverse. 'Di ba? Parang hinawakan mo yung losses mo and you're riding it on the way down. Okay? Syempre, if you want to make money, you want to cut your losses short and you want to let your profits run. You want to hold your profits for as long as you can. Or at the very least, kunyari, bumili ka sa piso, it doesn't make sense that you're taking profits at 110, pero yung isang binili mo sa piso, hinawakan mo all the way to 70 cents. It doesn't make sense. You won't make money that way in the long run. Okay? So, kunyari, if you're taking profits at 110 when you buy at 1 peso, you have to make sure that you sell your positions that are parang going to 99 cents or bago siya mag 90 cents. Kasi 'di ba parang magiging zero sum game lang siya if you take profits at 110 and then you take losses at 90 cents. Then it becomes a zero sum game, 'di ba? It's parang yung broker lang yung kikita noon, 'di ba? So you have to scale up on winners and immediately cut or scale down on losers, okay? You have to learn how to average up. You will have a very hard time making money and trading and making money in the markets. Not just the PSE, but in any kind of market if you don't know how to average up. Okay? You don't want to average down. Pwede ka mag-average down but only up to a certain extent. Parang controlled average down lang. Kanyari, bumili ka sa piso, but maybe you're averaging down up to maybe 97 cents. Di ba? Parang controlled lang. But hindi yung tipong bumili ka sa piso and then bibili ka sa 80 cents, and bibili ka sa 60 cents. That doesn't make sense. Okay? It's like riding your losses. 'Di ba? It's like riding your winners pero baligtad. 'Di ba? You don't want to do that. So again, you want to scale down on your losers and you want to scale up. So you want to have a big position when you're winning. You want to have a small or you want to have no positions when the stock is going down. On extreme cases, so for example, biglang nagparabola yung isang stock, suddenly it goes up by 30% in one day or something, your position, then maybe you can take some money off the table. Okay? Because the market is 80% sideways and is prone to whipsaw nowadays, I rarely sell down and I rarely buy up. Okay? What I do is, when stocks go up, I wait for the pullback before buying. And when stocks go down, I wait for the counter rally before I start selling. And then finally, in terms of micromanagement, I follow the average true range when placing orders. So what's the average true range? The average true range is simply the average range of a stock per day. So like, for example, with Felix right now, the average true range of Felix right now is about 40 to 50 cents. Okay? So what does that mean? if Philex is trading at 7 pesos, I would be looking to buy Philex at 660 to 650. Why? Because the average true range is 50 cents. And then I would be looking to take profits in Philex at 740 to 750. Why? Because the average true range again is 40 to 50 cents. So I place orders on both sides in a bullish stock. That's how I trade the market, okay? Para akong market maker palagi. But in a bearish stock wherein it's going down, syempre wala na akong buy orders. But I also try to respect the ATR when I'm trying to sell or scale down off that stock. And finally, I do not go against the market's momentum. So if the stock is really strong right now, so one gauge that I have is when, for example, the ATR of a stock is, for example, Philex is 40 or 50 cents. And then, for example, today, Philex is doing 60, 70, 80 cents on the upside. Hindi ko kontrahin yon. Okay? I will not sell into that momentum. You always follow the momentum. If the stock is trading strongly today, do not counter that momentum. Again, so ganun din siya on the way down. If suddenly Felix tomorrow on Monday goes to, let's say, 630 or 620, hindi ko kontrahin yan. I will not buy Felix. Okay? And I will even sell Felix on strength because, again, I do not go against the day's momentum. That's it. That's my short presentation for today. I hope you learned something from me.